In the SmartBar, click the Color Adjust button to access simplified controls for adjusting the color settings. When a job is selected, your adjustments will only apply for that job. However, when no job is selected, your adjustments will be applied to all jobs received under that queue tab. In either case, the Easy Color Adjustments dialog will open. The controls vary according to the type of layer, and the layers listed here correspond to the Queue Properties dialog. Note that the order of these layers indicate their printing order. So in this case, the underbase layer will be printed before the color layer. For the underbase layer, there are 3 wizards and training videos to help you set these controls. The maximum ink % is the upper limit for the amount of white ink that will be applied as an underbase. To set this value effectively, you should learn more about the Set Maximum White Ink wizard. Choking the white underbase is helpful in avoiding white along the edges if there are registration issues. For the choke, please refer to the Set White Choke wizard. The underbase strength is important when printing to either a color garment or a black garment. To determine the correct strength, please refer to the Setup White Under Black wizard. For the color layer, the following controls will be available. The Cmyk Sliders will adjust the proportion of Cmyk inks that will be printed. The Max Ink Slider regulates the total volume of Cmyk inks. For example, a max ink of 200 will regulate the Cmyk inks so that their sum volume will not exceed 200, whatever their proportions happen to be. The brightness will lighten or darken the entire job by adjusting the output colors equally. The saturation will increase or decrease the vibrancy, also known as the colorfulness, of the entire job. The chroma also affects the vibrancy, but is more subtle. Chroma is applied as part of the ICC rendering so that skin tones remain closer to their original hues. The Merge slider and these options here are related to how rendering intents will be applied. Normally, the rendering intents are adjusted on the ICC Profile tab. For example, suppose that the rendering intent for RGB bitmaps has been set as follows, with the standard compression on the left and the relative colorimetric on the right. When 2 different rendering intents have been set, the Merge slider is used to adjust the amount of blending between the 2. For a merge value of 50, this will be a 50-50 blend between the 2 rendering intents. For a merge value of 0, this will only use the first rendering intent. Increasing the slider value will blend in more of the second rendering intent. For a merge value of 100, this will only use the second rendering intent, and decreasing the slider value will blend in more of the first rendering intent. With that said, let us return to the Easy Color Adjustments dialog, where we can now explain these options. For ICC setting, the rendering intents from the ICC Profile tab will be used. For photo, this will force the rendering intents to be relative and perceptual. In other words, this will be equivalent to relative on the left and perceptual on the right. With the Merge slider at 100, only perceptual will be used, which is best for photographs. But moving the slider to the left will blend in more of the relative, which improves the color accuracy of graphic design elements such as vectors and text. For graphics, this will override the entire job with the absolute rendering intent. This has the benefit of providing the closest color match, which is good for spot colors, but will impair the quality of photographs. The highlight strength, also known as the highlight white, is additional white ink that is printed to regions of the job that are already white, so that the white is more prominent.